Hey, what's up, guys? Today is July 10th, and if you're watching this, then that means that I'm still alive. Just kidding, I'm being dramatic. But we got hit by a hurricane barrel a couple days ago down here in Houston. Just a Category 1, so nothing too crazy. But yeah, it's absolutely destroyed our infrastructure here in Houston, and I kind of wanted to talk about it. I feel like it should be mentioned, and I'm not sure if a lot of people are going to be talking about it here on YouTube. I've seen fuckloads of tweets about it. Yeah, this situation overall just really sucks, and if you're not from down here, then maybe you don't really know what's going on. So I'm here to inform you. So as you can see, it's getting dark outside. It looks really, really nice. I'm sorry if there's a lot of background noise. I have a fan on me because it's hot as shit. It's a crisp 85 degrees outside. Beautiful weather. Lovely. And we haven't had power for 2 days. So our thermostat is battery powered and still shows the temperature inside. It is 86 degrees in my house right now, which is, not fucking comfortable. I'm just overall not having a great time. And I have it lucky. Like, I'm lucky. I have friends and family here in town. I have a car that I'm able to drive to places. I have a decent gym membership to a place that, has power, has places for me to sit. Like, I'm sitting pretty. The problem is, I feel like the response has been absolutely dog shit by whoever's in charge, which is Centerpoint Energy. And honestly, I think it's, after the freeze that we had, it's really not uncommon for Texas as a whole to completely fumble the bag when it comes to energy, when it's needed. When it comes to outages and restoring power to people in need. It's just I don't know. And along with it being absolutely hot as hell, I happen to be kind of like in a dead zone for cellular data. So I can hardly text people. I can hardly receive calls. I can't check the internet. Like I'm basically like, my hands are tied at this point, which kind of explains why I'm recording a video, because I have fucking nothing better to do. It feels like I'm in a sauna. It's really, really hard to sleep at night. So if you're not from here and you don't know what Centerpoint Energy is, just really think about it as the sole provider of all electricity in Houston. Essentially, they're in charge of all the power lines, all the grids, the electricity, everything, all the equipment. They're in charge of all of it. And, so you might be thinking like, oh, I have Direct Energy, or I have TXU, or I have Reliant, or NRG. Why do I have to wait for Centerpoint to bring the power back? Well, this is why, because they own everything. So think of Centerpoint as the center point of everything. They're basically like the mafia boss, and all these little individual companies that are, selling you your electricity plans are just like, it's workers. Like they're shoveling the product that the mafia boss gives them, and we, the people, have to fucking deal with it, or don't have power. Obviously, one begins to wonder, how did they get all this power in Houston? They started. This is a little bit of funny history that I saw on their website. In 1866, they started as a company called Houston Gaslight Company. Gaslight Company. Coincidence? No, definitely not. They've been gaslighting us since 1866. But besides that, their entire history is basically them growing, and combining with other countries. What the fuck? Combining with other companies, and then, that big company then, eating up another company and becoming even bigger and having more power and more power, more power. And then, Centerpoint Energy was born, and the reason why they came up with that name is, like I just said, they are the center point of all electrical matters here in Houston. So they are now, like one of the biggest energy companies in the United States. So one would call this a monopoly, and you're kind of right. This was all basically made possible through Texas law. Not a couple years ago, but a few years back, Texas basically said, you know what, let's just have like one company deal with all the lines, all the equipment and all that stuff. And then we'll just have these individual companies. They're able to, sell you the service and regulate their own prices. The only catch is that the company that owns all the lines is not allowed to sell their own product, which Centerpoint has kind of found little ways around, and the other energy companies are not very happy about this. So now after Hurricane Beryl, it was only a Category 1 storm, and I say only like it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. It's still a storm with nearly 80-mile-per-hour winds, but we in Houston, I mean, we're more than used to that. If you've been living, here for the past 20-ish years, you've experienced some really strong hurricanes. Hurricane Ike in the 2000s. We've had Hurricane Harvey in 2017. We got hit by, Hurricane Rita. I think maybe it was Rita. There's so many hurricanes that you can't even remember all of them at this point. But like the memorable ones, we got hit by them. We got through it. I mean, we're literally in the middle of the Gulf Coast. Like, we're going to get hit by these storms. And yet it seems like every single time it's the same story. I remember for Hurricane Ike, I believe, we didn't have power in our house for 2 weeks. Now, keep in mind, that was about, 17 years ago. It's gotten so much hotter in Houston since then. And now the hurricanes are coming a lot earlier too. This is one of the fastest hurricanes that's developed and hit us in so long. Where like in the past, maybe we get hit in August or September. Now we're getting hit in basically peak summer temperatures, which is awful. And so now, 20 years later, we're still having these exact same issues where our power is going out. And we're living in a society that is more and more reliant, for lack of a better word, reliant on electrical power. I mean, people work from home, like me. We use the internet more than before. People don't really carry cash anymore here either. I went out to get an oil change a couple days ago, and I couldn't because they didn't have power, and I couldn't use card. So they're like, we're cash only, and I have literally none on me, ever. Like, why would I ever carry cash on me? You hardly even need to carry a wallet anymore since you can just use your phone. You can use Apple Pay, Samsung Pay, Google Pay, whatever. WeChat Pay. I don't know what you're using, but whatever you're using, like you could just use your phone instead. So things need to change for sure. I mean, but what can we do? So I've seen comments online saying that we should just bury our power lines, but that doesn't really work here. I mean, it's kind of like for a similar reason why we don't have a subway system. It's the ground here in Houston is just fucking awful. It's really, really hard to dig. That's one. And we just have a lot of water underground because of our floods that happen all the time. And not only that, if there is a damage, if there are damages at some point, it's really hard to, one, locate where the damage is, and two, fix it, because you're going to have to dig a hole and dodge all the sewage pipes. Now we've got like internet, fiber internet underground. Now that we're like a much denser city, we've got a ton of things underground, so it's a little bit harder to make that a possibility, and it's going to be really expensive, and that cost is not going to fall on Centerpoint's shoulders. It's going to fall on our shoulders. So we need to find a way to make these power lines storm-proof. That's one. I mean, that's just obvious. But we're not there yet, obviously. So we still have a lot of work to do, and by we, I mean Centerpoint has a lot of work to do. So one of the only things that we can do at this point, since, storm-proofing all the power lines is maybe too much of an ask, since, not much has really been done in the past God knows how long. I mean, you'd think maybe we'd learn our lessons since Harvey, but, I guess not. One thing that we can do is at least have the response team ready. And we didn't even get that right. One of the things that Centerpoint's been bragging about is about having all this out-of-state, out-of-town help ready to come in and ready to start working. I think they mentioned 12,000 workers coming in from all over the place, ready to help with repairs, with cutting trees, moving trees out of the way, all of that. It's now come out that they hadn't even gotten here prior to the hurricane. They weren't even here yet. The response just wasn't ready. They lied. they literally lied about that. So basically they said, oh, like we requested these resources, but they didn't quite get here in time. And then when they asked them like, okay, well, why didn't you ask for it sooner? Because we've kind of been knowing that it was going to hit us anyway. We didn't know how strong it was going to be, but we knew that the hurricane was going to come and hit us. When they were asked why they didn't respond to it sooner, they kind of just went, I don't know. I don't have that information. Sorry. That's bullshit. You have the information. You just don't want to say anything, right? I read an article saying that 2.5 million customers in Houston lost power, and Centerpoint sent out 1,500 units to assess the damage. I mean, no wonder I still don't have power. They just released a map recently, and it's the amount of people that don't have power is astonishing. It's really fucked. Speaking of the outage map, they barely released it like days after, I think yesterday. They had it online in May for another really bad storm that we had that knocked out 1 million customers' power, including my own, for 6 days. My power was gone for 6 days. Half of my neighborhood got power within 4 days, and I got mine after 6 days, which fucking sucked. But you know what? It was May, so outside it was about 85 degrees. It was manageable. The house was getting hot, but the maximum it got to was 78 degrees. Right now, it is 86 degrees in my home. It is humid as hell, and it's like a fucking sauna, dude. So instead of using the non-existent map that Centerpoint decided to give us, people in Houston started using the Whataburger app, because the Whataburger app was being updated real time to show which Whataburgers were open and which were closed. By using that information, you can pretty much guess and see which areas had power and which didn't. So literally, Whataburger is doing a better job at showing us this information than the literal energy company of Houston. And now for their outage tracker, this piece of bullshit website that they keep changing the information on. And to be honest, they could be fucking with the numbers. We don't even know if it's true. But apparently there are still 1.1 million customers affected by power outages, and they have restored 1.1, the same amount, basically. We're about 50% of the way there, according to them. But when you look at that outage map, it's pretty dire. It looks really messed up. And it's just, I don't know. You can't really trust them, to be honest. So how does this all tie back into, the Centerpoint Monopoly situation? It's with all this mismanaging, with the complacency in storm preparation, we can't do very much about it. It's not like we can just pick up and go to another provider and say, you know what, Centerpoint has really been shitting the bed lately. I'm going to take my money and move it to another company that's going to hopefully treat me better. We can't do that because they're the only company. And this is the problem with monopolies. There's no competition here. Centerpoint doesn't necessarily have a fire under its ass to do better. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't have the full story here. Maybe it's a budget issue, whatever. It's above my pay grade. But there are people being paid hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to figure this shit out. So do it. Figure it out. Anyways, it's hot and I'm getting loopy. I'm really thirsty. And yeah, my heart goes out to people who aren't quite as fortunate as I've been to have, the support of family, friends, a working car, gas in my car, money to get gas and put it into my car, a gym membership with amenities that I can just go and just sit there and enjoy the AC. My heart goes out for the people that don't have anybody, and seniors. They're fucking suffering in this heat, and it's just really unfair that people have to deal with this because of one company's mismanagement consistently. And yeah, I'm just sick of it. So hopefully things change. I know this video isn't going to spark a change, but I don't know. I hope you guys thought this was interesting. It's a little bit different from my usual content. Unfortunately, it's not super well researched like I'd like it to be, because I don't have fucking access to the internet. Barely. So, yeah, always do your own due diligence, do your own research before you make your own opinions. But my opinion is that Centerpoint fucking sucks, and I really wish that there was more competition in the market. Because then maybe they would, if they saw their market share go down, their stock prices go down, then maybe, just maybe, they would have an incentive to do better. When they stop seeing all the money flowing into their pockets, then maybe they'll finally get it. I don't know. Thank you for watching. I'm not sure when this is going to get up because, like I said, no internet, no power. I don't even know how I'm going to edit this. I don't even know if it's worth editing this and wasting the battery power. But I just wanted to make this because I'm bored as hell. There's really nothing else for me to do. I'm so addicted to TikTok, and I'm basically having withdrawal symptoms because I can't access it. And I've just been yapping at this camera for the past 40 minutes basically, and I don't even know if it's usable because this fucking fan is blowing in my face. Anyway, I don't know. Good night.